The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Brought it to you by, sorry, my bad. I'll redo that. The MLB Gambling Podcast. We switched the order, apparently. My bad.
Apparently. Sorry,
Fine.
I'm just retweeting so that everyone sees that we're doing this.
It's all good. The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by EdgeBoost. Get up to $70 in cash rewards each month when you sign up at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo code MLBSGPN to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Monday morning, April 7th, roughly 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm also always Reichel once again going solo for the actual hosting part, but I am joined by my co-host here.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
It's fine. I'm joined once again by Adam for the actual MLB prop show for, once again, the first of 3 episodes each week. We are doing it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and of course today is Monday. But Adam, how's it going with you? I know we kind of cooked the last episode again. I will get into the details in a second, but how's your weekend?
I got too cute yesterday. Everything I blame you. Corbin Burns I think something's wrong with Corbin Burns. That's pretty much it, but I'm good. I'm also just putting out this on the tweets as we're talking, and I just got distracted by a Jackson Chourio home run, which from yesterday. So yeah, but I'm good otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like overall, of course, we had a great episode last time out, and you ended up sweeping. I know we also were very close to hitting the underdog entry again. I know we were 1 pick short, I believe, but I ended up going 2-1. Ended up losing on an intentional walk. I bet Wade no walks, and he intentionally walked in the 9th inning. So that's a pretty tough way to actually lose the double sweep on the show. But I believe, I forgot the exact record we've had on the show. I know I swept 2 episodes ago. You swept last week. And then
we were like 11 and
I think we were like
10-2.
We're like 10-2
last week. Yeah.
So we had a great past couple episodes, and we'll try to keep rolling here.
Which are also our first couple episodes. I want to be clear.
That is true. Definitely true. Point is, we did have a great overall week, and hopefully we'll keep it rolling here. I do want to ask, though, for the actual weekend action, you have anything you want to talk about? Or you want to just move on into the plays?
Weekend action. Yeah, like I said, I think there's something wrong with Corbin Burns. We're not going to be. I'll give out the bonus play before I even get into stuff because it's not happening. But I think the Guardians are not playing good baseball. I can't honestly say that the Chicago White Sox are that much worse than the Guardians, and the White Sox are 3-1 to win the series against them. They start a series tomorrow. That's an insane price on DraftKings. So bet that.
Yeah, my takeaway from really the weekend action: a lot of teams really did not care about burning their bullpen yesterday. A lot of teams used a lot of.
I got more into it. Some of it's a little bit different because they all left their long relievers is the thing, except for the Red Sox who just they
had a doubleheader. It's a whole separate story.
Right.
That was kind of one thing I noticed. I felt like a lot of pitchers got bad starting output and then had to kind of piece together a bunch of innings. Cubs had that happen to them, and they lost the game anyway. You mentioned the Red Sox and the Cardinals both burned a lot of the bullpen in the doubleheader. Shout out to Bregman, though, with a monster game yesterday. Yankees and Pirates, that game went to extras. They used a lot of relievers, too. So something to keep in mind, bullpen usage early in the season. If you don't have any days off in between and the team burns the bullpen, we might once again target some pitching options because of it, but wanted to mention it. Felt like a lot of relievers were used yesterday, and we'll see how that carries over into the pitching usage here for Monday. And before we get into any of the 6 props that we have for the actual show, a quick reminder that we do have a great contest going on with Splash Sports for the Masters because Augusta's right around the corner. SGPN's back with Splash Sports for a big contest up to $30K in prizes. Only $20 entry fee. Get in today at splashsports.com. The SGPN, the splashsports.com SGPN. Plus, tune into the Golf Gambling Podcast, Steffi Small Show, and the Bottom Line Bombs for all of your Masters picks. Anyway, starting off with the first prop that we do have for the actual show. Adam, I want you to go first. What is your first player prop you want to share for the Monday card?
Circled this yesterday morning, and then I waited all day for it to get there. But we're going to go with Logan Gilbert over 6.5 Ks, minus 105. Might be a little minus 110. As a famous person on Twitter said, this is too low. Houston's got a 28%. I'm also parlaying the Gilbert over 5.5 Ks and Eflin under 5.5 Ks. Nice. 28% K rate with Houston against right-handed pitching, which is third worst in the league. Gilbert Gilbert didn't pitch his best, but still had 8 Ks in his last outing. He's got really good stuff. He's got incredible swing and miss stuff. This game is also at home. It's in Seattle. So I think it's an extremely good spot against a Astros team that has not been able to really hit the ball and is swinging at everything. So give me Logan Gilbert. I think that there is actually a little bit of ladder possibility in here. We just got to look at some of those prices, but Logan Gilbert over 6.5 Ks.
Yeah, I think my connection's lagging.
All right. Well, Scott his connection is lagging, so he just left off. So I will stay here and I'll tell you a little bit more about Logan Gilbert. So, no, wait, never mind. Scott's back. I'm not going to tell you more about Logan Gilbert. So back to Scott.
The connection got bored and ended up just jumping ship there. I don't know if I got the warning out before I disconnected, but I tried to warn people.
It was great. I covered for you. I was amazing.
I can definitely tell. But anyway, what were you saying about
nothing.
He's a good player.
Yeah, Austin. Eflin's probably going to go. Eflin's probably going to go deeper into that game, and just keep in mind that Cattell is not playing for the Diamondbacks, which is like a huge portion of guys that don't K. But I mean, it's solid overall. Anyway, yeah, Logan Gilbert. We're shipping Logan Gilbert. This is a Logan Gilbert shove spot for me.
All right, so moving on to mine, I'll stick with the pitching, I'd say, part right now. I'll go with Dustin May. I'll go with the over 4.5 strikeouts to minus 130. Struck out 6 in his first start. There were some questions how he'd look after not pitching all of last year. Looked pretty good, and he struck out a decent amount of guys in a pretty small amount of innings, went 5, ended up striking out 6 guys. Nationals, that were striking out a ton so far this season. They are averaging 10.67 strikeouts per game, which is the second most in the league, but I like May's stuff. And he looked pretty good in his first start of the season. Nationals, though, are striking out a ton. I think it's a good spot for May to get to 5. Could get there maybe in 5 innings, maybe less. Maybe he'll strike out the side. I think he did that actually in the first start. But I think that it's a pretty good price here at minus 130. I'll go with Dustin May to once again strike out 5+ guys at minus 130. You have any thoughts on that matchup?
Nope, liked it a lot. I was actually trying to figure out a way to possibly play. We could look at it in our we could look at it when we do an underdog entry, but I was looking at Gore walks possibly in that game, but we'll see too. I do like that with May.
All right. So you want to get into your second prop?
Yes, as Corey is reminding us that it is Passover week. So
yes, it is.
Get your matzah ready. All right. My second is Nathan Eovaldi to get the win plus 150. Look, he's their workhorse, and Patrick Corbin is starting tomorrow. That's really the cap. So I also just I think this is a good Rangers spot versus the Cubs. Haven't been really big into Justin Steele. His outs are also at 18.5. And one of the things whenever you look for a win is if someone's outs are 17.5 or higher.
Be careful, by the way, because Justin Steele's a friend of the program.
Yeah, friend of the program. Friend of the program who I've now faded on every single show that we've done or found a way to throw under the bus.
We do it with love.
We do it with love. Yeah, okay. But they're like, look, Justin, you're going to make us money somehow. Look, Steele has been bottom percentile in everything this season. And that's, I'm just going to continue to work on that. He has been striking guys out. So I will take that. The Rangers team doesn't really K that much though. So this is I like the under also in this game, but I'll take Eovaldi. Especially knowing that he's going to have to go deep because tomorrow they're going to be sending out the sacrificial lamb that is Dallas Keuchel 2.0, also known as Patrick Corbin.
Yeah, I do also want to point out that we think Eovaldi's a pretty good player. So want to mention
Austin's asking if we heard the Rangers Cubs might get canceled. Any truth? There's always truth to a game getting canceled. There's really bad weather across the board everywhere today. Mm-hmm. So Yeah, it might get canceled. And if it gets canceled, your bet will void unless you have a lousy bookie who's like, no, I'm taking this money. In which case, call Scott and I. We'll come over there. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll do our best. But point is that I do think, to answer your question there, Austin, you never know, as Adam said before, because you can try to predict how the weather's going to cooperate 24 hours from now. Weather can be a fickle thing where it looks like, maybe you're headed for a certain storm and then suddenly it redirects and you miss it by a couple, of miles, I guess. That could always happen too. So I would say it's definitely a possibility, but it's really tough to fully think 24 hours in advance if a game gets canceled or not. I don't think that teams think about that. Do you think that? Because I feel like it's expecting a lot, and I feel more uncertainty to predicting weather than people realize.
No, look, I covered this on my podcast on Dad's Bet Baseball, but don't worry as much about wind, worry about rain, because that's what changes up a rotation, and teams kind of know it ahead of time. I'm actually not seeing anything that would indicate that there would be any sort of delay in this game. I'm seeing partly cloudy, 0% participation or precipitation. There's 0% precipitation of the participation. So yeah, the Patrick Corbin being employed, but Trevor Bauer isn't. Trevor Bauer is also an a-hole, which is probably more the reason why he's unemployed than anything else that is going on. But so I think this play should be fine. The ones that I would be concerned about today is if you have stuff, and again, focus more on if there's rain, because it means that the starter that you're capping against might be cut early and might go to a bullpen, and it becomes a bullpen game, which completely changes how hitters props works. Really shouldn't be betting hitter props right now anyway, but I'm not going to preach on that. Let's see, weather-wise, it looks like, there's really bad weather here in Boston. So I don't really know. I don't know if this Red Sox Jays game happens as it should. The starters that they have out are actually short inning starters, so they may just try to bullpen game it. That being said, Toronto has a lot of the guys left in bullpen, so anyway, we can keep going on. Valdi wins, and we've kind of moved, and I got us off tangent, so I apologize.
It's all good. You had me at participation. Anyway, before we get into the other plays that we have for the actual prop section, do want to remind everyone saying that we are brought to you by our sponsor, EdgeBoost, because they have the premier debit card for bettors. You could use the card to avoid being hassled at the sportsbook defense side by having your card denied. You also earn up to $70 cash rewards per month by using the EdgeBoost card. And a reminder, you could also use it because there are no credit checks, fully free. So once again, you can sign up at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. Whose bookie?
My bookie.
Yeah.
So we gotta get a Run DMC. We gotta get a Rev Run animation that comes in and goes like, "Who's bookie?"
Hopefully that's in the budget, but we can talk about it. Reminder though, that MyBookie.ag is the place in every sport, including the Masters. They also have props on every game. They have customers from ton of locations, and a reminder, you can also use crypto for LightFS payouts, and you can also get easy deposits. Head to MyBookie.ag with the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to 1K. It's MyBookie.ag promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the first couple props that we have for the actual card. Time to move on into my second prop. So I was inspired by what you said before the break. You said you're not into hitting props, and you said the Red Sox game might get canceled. So I'm going to go with the Red Sox hitter for this game coming up on Monday. I'm going to go with Christian Campbell. I'm going to go with his over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at even money. Love the price at even money. He's been great lately. He's had at least 2 hits, runs, and RBIs in 8 of his last 9 games. You have Easton Lucas pitching for Toronto, who was randomly very good in his first start. However, I'm going to suggest that might have been an anomaly because he was really bad in his entire career before that start, and he was really bad in spring training. So I'm not going to overreact to one good outing because in spring, he had an 8.64 ERA, and in his career, he has a 7.71 ERA. Plus, Boston's been mashing lately over the last couple of games, so shout out to the Cardinals for getting torched the entire weekend in Fenway. Point is, though, I think that you're looking at a questionable pitcher in terms of reliability. You mentioned Lucas might not go long anyway, but Campbell, though, has been very solid. The entire Red Sox lineup's been great, but hits, runs, and RBIs, I think, is a pretty solid market, and Campbell, a guy that's gone over this number in 8 of his last 9. At even money against Easton Lucas, I'll take my chances. So once again, I'm going to go with the Red Sox player prop. Ignoring your advice, I'm going to go with Christian Campbell over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at even money. Thoughts?
No thoughts. My comment obviously about hitting props is that it's not hitting season yet. So these people that are just like, oh my God, I got to bet like a whole card of dingers. Like, look, you and I are on quite a. So for those that don't know, Scott and I talk about 20 hours a day, and we're betting partners. We bounce each other's bets and ideas.
I'm sleeping the other 4.
So. Pretty much. And what we do, we have done very well in MLB already so far because we have like 1 or 2 batter props versus me coming and being like, let's bet the board. And it's
freezing outside. It's tough to bet.
It's freezing outside. Well, so I will say, and this is like to your point with Easton Lucas, and it's making me really like this play. Of all the starters that are starting today, Easton Lucas with the absolute lowest chasing swing rate, 19.1%, the lowest swinging strike rate, 6.9%, which is 69. Nice. And the lowest K percentage of 16.4. He had XFIP of 6.36, Sierra 5.5. Sierra is a fancy term for what should have happened, all things considered, without fielding being involved. Like fielding isn't as weighed heavily. It's just basically what's the pitcher actually. So Easton Lucas might stink, but they also have the full bullpen. Campbell smashed it, so this is fine by me.
It's kind of my point. Once again, Lucas was good for 1 start, but every piece of data suggests that he's not very good, and he had 1 good outing. So
yeah, I'm not ready to take a lot of home players, positive player stuff because of that. Like there's a good chance they might jump all over these guys, but
you end up losing the 9th inning. But yeah, I get it.
But I like them. I like it. It's fine.
All right. So I'm going to ask you though, Adam, what is your next prop that you have?
It's a hitter prop.
Okay.
That's the bit. All right, but it's actually a guy to not get a hit. Gio Urshela not to get a hit is plus 135.
Yankees legend.
Braves.
Angels a legend. Guy was on 45 different teams. Guardians
Tigers legend.
Yeah.
Braves legend. Angels legend. Yankees
that was
legend.
on an underratedly long list of teams.
He's on. Yeah, he stinks. So he's 3 for 28 this season. No hits in 5 plate appearances against Michael King. King also has a really good pitching mix against to go against Gio. Like Gio does do well against sinkers, but he's terrible against off-speed stuff. King is pretty good on that end. He's also awful against lefties. And yes, people are like, well, Michael King's a righty. Why does that matter? Here's why it matters. Because as Scott mentioned earlier in the show, most of these teams blew a lot of their bullpens, but for whatever reason, the Padres kept all of their left-handers available today. So they're going to have Peralta and Matsui available if they need to. If King leaves and they put someone in, they're smart enough that they're going to probably play those percentages and do that. As Gio is, he hit 177 against lefties last year. He has no hits against them this year. So I'll take my chances at plus money on Gio Urshela continuing to stink at plus 135.
Yeah, we just mentioned a bunch of former Yankees. That's kind of where my head
I noticed that. Yeah. I was
you had
like,
Urshela, you had King, you threw in Wandy Peralta. You had a lot of guys that you threw in there. But
I like it.
Yeah, point is Urshela cannot hit lefties, so I do agree with you that it can definitely pay off. He might get benched at some point over the course
he might get
of
benched.
the game.
He might get cut, to be totally honest. But it's the A's, so I don't think that they'll cut anybody.
I was going to say it's pretty tough, though, to be effective in baseball when you are not really getting on base just in terms of your, I'd say, barrel rate. And on top of that, you also can't really run. Yeah. And you're injured all the time. Not really a good trio.
Not conducive to getting in the game. So, yeah.
Then again, it's the A's, so who cares? We'll see what happens. But either way, I agree with you on that play. I'm going to go with another player prop for hitters, but I'm going to go with the under as well. You mentioned Urshela's numbers. I think he said he was 3 of 28. I'm going to interest you in somebody worse. I'm going to go with Cam Smith. You might be wondering, what kind of NPC name is that? The answer is he's on the Astros, and I'm going to go with his under half a hit at minus 110. He is 1 for his last 17. In plate appearances, you have Gilbert pitching for Seattle. We mentioned Gilbert before. We like Gilbert. We think he's solid. He's allowed less than 6 hits in 5 straight starts, so I don't see many Astros guys actually making good contact against them. And Gilbert's hits prop in this outing is actually 4.5. So Cam Smith might play. He might not play. I don't believe he played yesterday, but he stinks. He's had 1 hit in his last 17 plate appearances, and Gilbert's a good pitcher. So there is a chance he gets lifted. I know he got lifted in one of the games earlier this year for McCormick, which could happen again. But you mentioned before you're fading a bad hitter. I'll fade a bad hitter too. Smith's K rate's also like a mess. He's been
atrocious. He's a rookie.
I know. He might figure it out, but every now and then you throw in a young player and you hope that they swim, and sometimes they sink. And right now he's sinking. So I'll back the, once again, good pitcher against what I think is an overwhelmed hitter at this point in time. Minus 110 I think is pretty appealing. So I'll go with Cam Smith under half a hit of minus 110. You have any thoughts?
No, I was just like looking at stats and seeing like when these people say, hey, how do you guys figure out who do you want to fade? I feel like because we're tracking really well on this show, timing wise, I want to take a moment and we could both say how we decide, because we've done very well with the no hits market.
Yeah.
Do you want to I think we should talk about for 2 minutes why we like how you figure out who you want to take on that.
Well, I mean, the truth is that I use a couple platforms to figure out some hit rates. I look at some actual like barrel rate stuff, kind of the I don't want to say simple metrics, but you kind of have to deep dive into each player. But I don't know. I feel like when it comes to no hits, we'd stick with the common theme, which sounds like an absolute cop-out, but it's just simple. Fade the bad players.
Who bats at the bottom of the order.
You bats at the bottom of the order who might get lifted as well. You have some guys that are platooning. There are a couple ways that you can make your bet more likely to hit for no hits. For example, if you wanted to go for a guy that only bats against lefties, if you wanted to go for just randomly like a Randall Grichuk type, you want to go for somebody who's only going to probably get like 2 or 3 at bats in a game. And as soon as a righty comes in, he's getting pulled. You can still probably get like minus 110, even sometimes plus money on some guys if you want to limit the number of at bats they're going to get either in the bottom of the order or once again only going as a specialist against a certain handed pitcher. And then once you end up bringing in the bullpen, they might get lifted. So that's how I go after the no-hit stuff. I try to find some angles, but I'm also not afraid of looking at K rates and looking at the form of maybe young players like, once again, the guy that I mentioned in Cam Smith, who just seems like he maybe will be good someday, but not now. So there are a couple of different ways to go about it, but trying to find batters that look, just simply put, overwhelmed right now and backing the, I'd say, trend to continue is kind of how I go about it. I was kind of unorganized an answer, but you get the point I'm trying to say. You have anything else you want to add there?
No, looking at K rates is great. Obviously, Gio doesn't like K a ton, but he still Ks a good amount. I look at BABIP being low, and I look at expected BA on Baseball Savant being low, because that basically means that they're not even putting the ball in play.
Yeah, the real question is, are they making good contact with the ball?
And they're not making good contact.
Then you'll fade the guy. Like, it's fine.
Right. Though I'm seeing stuff on here that's like Gio could do something. He's also batting 8th at home. Like there's a 1,000 reasons why he could get lifted. Whatever, we'll go with it. And now that I think about it, though, we just realized that the Dodgers are going against a lefty, so there might be a good candidate on that side to take.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, I know that you ended up seeing Hernandez, not
Kiki.
Oscar. You have Kiki.
No, Kiki. Yeah. Kiki ends up playing, but Kiki's also the problem is you have
Kiki's
to sweat Kiki mashing.
But that's been a guy that we've noticed does get lifted typically. Then again, it's not really the same because I know that a couple of the bench bats they had last year aren't there again, but they usually like Kiki go against lefties. Gary Sanchez was another guy who usually goes against lefties, but I think he played the whole game yesterday. So it's not like a foolproof thing. I'm sure teams are going to work out the exact matchups or bench bats they want in certain situations as the season goes on. But you can find batters on different teams that will basically only be getting at bats against one, I'd say, type of pitcher. And then once they bring in the other reliever, you go from a lefty to a righty. There's like an 80% chance the guy gets lifted.
Yeah, he has a home run against Gore, so I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna do this.
No, you know what I'm trying to say though.
No, I know what you're trying to say. I was looking more for like our underdog entry and how that might use.
The point is, some guys only bat against lefties, some guys only bat against righties, and as soon as they have the other type of hand come in, they get lifted immediately because the manager knows or the analytics department knows we should not let this guy bat against a righty, for example, and he'll get lifted. So that's why you mentioned which guys are going to be available in the Padres bullpen today. Something to keep in mind is bullpen usage, because if you're looking at a potential matchup where one guy might have to get pulled against a lefty, but they burn the lefty the day prior, they're not going to pitch. So you got to factor that in too. So something to keep in mind is kind of an underrated variable in the, I'd say, prop market as well. I know that once again we just went through all 3 of our props, but I'm going to ask you quickly, anything else you want to add?
No, Gilbert over 6.5 Ks. Eovaldi to have the win. Gio Urshela, who we just gave 8 minutes of airtime to stink.
Yes. Point is, though, we do have to do the underdog entry before we get into that.
No, that's fine.
I'll actually let you give out your best bet out of those 3 first.
I love this Gilbert case.
Okay.
So over 6.5 Gilbert case.
All right. So for me, I think I'm going to go with Dustin May. I'll go with the over 4.5 strikeouts at -130. I like the price. He struck out 6 in his first start. Nationals striking out the second most in the entire league. May look good for a guy that hadn't pitched in a while, and that was definitely an interesting thing to monitor for his first start when you have not pitched in a while. I think he had Tommy John, and now you got to wonder how he's going to look. Looked pretty sharp right out of the gate. So I do like how he looked, and I do think the Nationals, once again, have been striking out a lot. I think there's value on that as my best bet. Now, before we get into the Underdog entry, I want to remind once again that we are brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog, because you can use their own pick 'em to play any sport for a chance to win up to 100 times your money. You can mix and match your sports. MLB, if you want to go for NBA, college basketball, you do have the title game taking place tonight. You can mix and match esports as well, etc. You can also sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN. There's a special 24-time deposit offer up to 1K cash on fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, because Rhythm is the home for back picks and props. They're also live now for Major League Baseball. They also have models for NBA and golf. I remind you, can also build your own model, which is simple and easy to do. Adam, I'm going to ask you, what is one Rhythm play that you noticed popped up that you actually do like quite a bit?
I'm looking through this. I'm looking because I like looking at the pitching ones. They have the Eovaldi over strikeouts. I don't know if I love that. They have Severino over strikeouts. I'm not sure if I love that. There's actually a couple things that they're on the opposite side of, so it's kind of like us against the robots. But what about what about as we look through here? It's so funny. Everybody who we like, it likes the other side of it. So I don't want to fade King here, but it likes the here's the one we could just take. This is fun, and it's plus money, so it kind of boosts the whole thing. Dick Fitz on on the Red Sox over 3.5 Ks. It really likes. Actually, it likes Senga under Ks against the Marlins. You want to do some plus money damage on a as
it's a weird matchup though, because didn't he just face the Marlins?
Yeah, and he got arguably shelled. Not really.
No, he was okay, but he got shelled early, then he settled in. But he struck out a ton of guys in that start. But the argument is, since they just saw him, you're assuming the pitcher is going to have a worse time the second time around.
I don't think that's the case for him. I think he gets into form. But overall, I'd rather take his under Ks overall, because I just think that he's still working through getting that. So yeah, let's do this. Let's do the under Ks here.
Okay. So what was the number on that?
6.5.
Okay, cool. So once again, the robots suggest that we should be taking Senga under the 6.5 strikeouts against the Marlins. But a reminder, when you do sign up for Rhythm, you get a free trial actually for 7 days. Use the link sportsgamepodcast.com/rhythm, sportsgamepodcast.com/RETHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finish going through our 3 favorite props each and the best bet. Now it's time for the Underdog entry. So, Adam, I know that we agreed we're going to use the Rhythm play, so we are going to throw in Senga in there. Unless you don't want to, but I'm assuming that we do.
No, I do. So, yeah, like again, Rhythm is recommending that we take Senga under 6.5 Ks. We're doing some live stuff here to look at some things. Let me just look at.
Yeah, so while you pull that up, Rhythm recommends we take the under on Senga Ks. We're going to pivot and take the Senga lower 6.5 Ks.
Lower, that's right.
That's right. So that's going to be the first option. I don't know if you want to recycle any of the plays we already gave out, or if you want to just pick some other stuff.
Look, he had 8 against Miami last week. I'll argue for some regression in this. Also, we're getting it at plus money. 7 Ks is a lot of Ks, just so that people know. Let me just look at the K rates.
It's a lot of ghost forks.
It's a lot of ghost forks. Also, look, they had a game rained out. Maybe they kind of figured some things out. So let's do that. Let's take that, and then.
I mean, I don't know if you wanted to back any of my plays, or we should take any of yours.
No, I do. I think I'll do. Why don't we do? Whoops, let me pull it up.
You wanted to go for May? You wanted to go for Campbell?
What was the third one?
The third one was Cam Smith being bad.
I like that a lot.
Part-time golfer, I believe.
Well, a lower, yeah. So Cam Smith lower 0.5 total bases. I like that.
Okay, so we'll throw that in for a second option.
Okay, and so we got and then we got Senga under 6.5 Ks, and then Let's see if there's one other one.
You want to just bring back Gilbert strikeouts?
No, I mean, I like it.
That is going to overlap with Cam Smith, though.
Yeah, it's basically we're double downing on that. Let me see. I think we want a pitcher prop. Let's see. Well, what did they put?
I mean, I've made strikeouts. I don't know if you want to use that too, but
no, I mean, look, we got people can just watch us play on our computers for a little bit. Let's see. Okay, here's one. Okay, how about this? How about Hunter Green lower 4.5 hits allowed?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. He's been good historically against the Giants.
He's just good in general. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
They never get any run support for him, but he pitches well.
No. But this is good. This is good, and I'm also trying to make it. I'm trying to also diversify like our plays. I like this
entire portfolio.
Yes, really, especially since the Japanese stock market tanked. All right, Cam Smith lower 0.5 total bases. Kodai Senga lower 6.5 strikeouts. Again, thanks to our friends at Rhythm for this one, and Hunter Green lower 4.5 hits allowed. That is going to be a plus 544. I will put our standard half a unit on this. It is, so that's $50 to win. Looks like 272 or something.
Cool. But anyway, that is our entry. A reminder that we also gave out the props earlier in the show if you want to back those as well. Till next time, though, we're back on Wednesday for the prop show. I'll be back later today with Dylan to break down the Tuesday games. Adam, anything else you want to add?
Who are the 5 best guys on the MLB prop show? Dylan.
Because we spit hot fire.
Yeah.
So there you go. But the problem is that my favorite Chappelle skit.
That's my favorite. That's that and Wu-Tang Financial are my 2 favorite ones.
That's a good one too. I mean, do you count the Prince stories or like the Rick James?
No, because Charlie Murphy sells.
I was gonna say those are stories. Those aren't really segment. I mean, I guess you can make an argument that like it is kind of played out, but yeah, whatever. You have to go to the Bronx to get me a sugar cookie. But anyway, I'm shutting the studio down. I'm shutting the studio down. But anyway, point is, we're back once again for the MLB show later on today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.